You're listening to Bleeding Blue, a podcast by Adam Cooke Journalism showcasing and talking with some of the finest athletic talent around Exeter Township. Welcome to the first episode of Bleeding Blue, a full-length sit-down podcast with athletes from the Exeter Eagles. I'm your host, Adam Cooke, and I'm pleased to introduce my first guest, Exeter's goalie, Gavin Marr. How are you, Gavin?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you on. So, guess we'll get started. So it's your senior year, obviously, with soccer, being the goalie. How'd you feel about your performance throughout the season?
Some things went pretty well and some things didn't go as planned. But I guess that's just kind of what happens with sports, and especially high school sports. They're very inconsistent at times.
Yeah. Did anything particularly stand out to you about the team you were playing with that you spent a bunch of time with day in and day out?
Yeah, for the most part, we had a lot of older players, but not a lot of them had a lot of varsity experience. So that was definitely a process that we had to go through with definitely a lot of talent, but not a lot of knowing what to do to win games exactly.
Was there anything else you guys were reaching for? You guys were 6-10-2, I believe.
Yep.
Was there anything else you were reaching for with that, or could have executed better on?
So the one thing we did achieve was having a better record than last year, which wasn't very hard to do because we won 4 games last year. But our goals were set pretty high, with obviously having a older roster, and we were looking to at least make counties and districts, and we fell just short of that.
What memories were you able to have, not just this year with the team, but throughout your entire high school career as goalie?
A lot of the memories from my sports for high school actually came from my sophomore year, because we had a lot of seniors on both the soccer and baseball teams, so we made pretty deep playoff runs. So for soccer, we went to the county championship. Unfortunately, we lost 2-1, but it was just so much fun, and that was a great team. And the same thing with baseball. We went to the county semifinals and then made our run to states, which was a long time. So the guys were also great in that too. Made it a lot of fun.
Can you talk a bit more about playing baseball, some of the things you were able to experience, maybe some of the differences between the two sports?
Yeah, so baseball is definitely a more individual, team sport, because pretty much everything you do is just individually, can you get a hit or make a play in the field. While soccer, it's doing that too, but you have to work with a lot of your teammates at all the time. So it's definitely a little bit different. They're both team sports, but I like the difference in each of them.
And you said you weren't going to continue with that anymore throughout the season.
Yeah, unfortunately not, because I switched the soccer teams I played for, and I want to play in college, so I just won't have time to be able to play baseball this year.
Yeah. Speaking of baseball, you said you're a Phillies fan. How do you feel about them?
It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
I can't really complain about that. They're playing very well. Everyone's starting to heat up, so we'll see what happens the rest of the year.
Yeah. Kind of going back to some of the soccer stuff. From what I believe, you're interested in playing in college?
Yep.
Can you talk about what you're looking for with that, what kind of program you're looking for, what comes with it?
So, yeah, I'm definitely looking to play in college, and that's been a long process so far with recruiting and trying to get coaches' attention and all that stuff. And for soccer, it's very difficult because there's a lot of international players, so that is what a lot of people don't realize. But right now, I'm kind of going towards the end of the recruitment process, where in the next month or two, I'm going to start focusing on a few schools, probably 2 or 3, that I'm going to really put all of my effort into to see if I can go and play there.
Yeah. Is there any programs that have piqued your interest or been out there so far?
A few of my top programs are actually kind of rivals. So I was looking at Franklin and Marshall, who is in the Centennial Conference, and their head coach is one of my club soccer coaches, so I see them a lot, and they're all super nice, and it's a really good team. And then also I recently started looking at Johns Hopkins, because one of my family friends was in the Soccer Hall of Fame there, so he knew the coach a lot. So that was a good connection to have.
Yeah. Throughout high school and now moving into college, how have you been able to stay consistent with academics and extracurriculars and all of that while also playing multiple sports for up until now focusing on just soccer?
I think the most important part is just staying organized and just being on top of things. Because if I know I have a big project or homework assignment and I have the game the next day, I may have to stay up a little late one night to get it done, just so I know to do the project when I have time. So that's been something I learned that's been very helpful.
Yeah. Is there any majors or kind of things you're interested in beyond sports?
Yeah, so definitely probably going to be some kind of business major. So depending on what school I go to, so if I go to a liberal arts school, they mainly offer economics as a business class. So if I go to a liberal arts school, which is what Johns Hopkins and Franklin Marshall are, I will probably major in econ, and then I'm thinking about minoring in Spanish. But if I go to a school with a more solid business program and a lot more classes, I may think about taking international business courses as my major.
Yeah. I know you mentioned Spanish, and I've seen you kind of in DeFusco's room. Is that something you've kind of been passionate about, planning on becoming fluent in?
Yeah, I think it's especially through soccer too, because a lot of my teammates on my club team and a few on the high school team speak Spanish fluently, and for some of them that's their first language. So I just think it's really cool being able to have that skill, especially it's so useful in the workforce nowadays too. There's so many more opportunities if you are bilingual, especially in our area with Spanish.
So definitely a more important aspect when it comes to being a team, especially soccer. Yeah. What do you think about Exeter's soccer program going forward from here? You think it's in good hands?
Yeah, I think we're in very good hands. Obviously, we had the change in coaches this year, which was a bit of a change, just the way they do things, as it always will be when they change coaches. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good younger players, and they're in pretty good hands moving forward.
Yeah. Is there anything particular you could say about Coach Matt moving into his first season, playing under him for a year, going forward?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I appreciated how much he was open to the players, and that was very nice, and a nice change too. And also how he was very willing to make changes and adjustments, because that's something we didn't really have in the years before. We just kind of do one thing the whole season. But he changed a lot of stuff up. Sometimes it didn't work, but sometimes it did. So that's what you have to deal with if you experiment a lot, though.
Yeah. Since you're graduating as the main varsity goalie, what do you think the state of the goalie position is going to be? What guys do you think are going to be able to step up and be utilized?
I think we're in a great spot there. Obviously, we've had Cody Eschenauer and Brenton Feathers have both played a decent amount of varsity goalkeeper over the past year or two. And then they're both sophomores this year. And so did Jaden Widener is our JV goalie, and he's also a sophomore. So we're going to have 3 juniors next year. They're all really solid, so it's in very good hands.
Yeah. I remember a lot of the guys, like I remember Brenton and Cody playing a bit mixed, like in the field as well. Do you think that's an important asset to a team, a keeper, being versatile like that?
Yeah, so that's definitely helpful, especially with how we play and how a lot of high school teams and just most soccer teams play nowadays. Is the goalkeepers are very involved with their feet, and most of their times they touch the ball is actually with their feet, not with their hands. So if they're able to play at a high level, like playing a field position in high school, they're definitely will be able to handle whatever balls they get at their feet that they have to pass and play out of in the games.
Yeah. Were you ever a guy to play multiple positions, or were you always kind of a goalie first?
I've played a lot of positions my whole life, and it was kind of, I think my freshman or sophomore year, when I think it was my sophomore year, I switched to goalie for really, I focused on goalie for the first time, which obviously I haven't really kept doing that because I've played some field this year too. But yeah, it's very important, and especially with colleges too. A lot of the colleges I've been talking to have just said it's so important that their goalies are able to use their feet, not as well as their field players, but just well enough to get by and create a few chances out of it.
Yeah. Kind of shifting away from Exeter in college. You're in a club. You play club soccer, right?
Yep.
Where do you play that for?
So I used to play for FC Revolution, which was a club team out of Reading, but a lot of our players graduated on my team, so I was left without a team this summer. So I actually switched to a team in Lancaster called Lancaster FC, or Lancaster Football Club, and that's been a great experience so far. We practice and play at F&M's field, which is Tyler's field, and the coaches are great, so it's been a very good experience so far.
Yeah, kind of like when you're in different environments with the coaching, the players, where you are. What kind of, can you talk about how playing is and how you keep going and how winning feels with different environments like that?
Yeah, so winning always feels great. I mean, that's the goal of why you play sports. And it's different depending on the scenario and the team and what the game's for. For example, like obviously when we beat Wilson or Mifflin this year at home, those were huge games, and that's some of the most excited I've been after a win. Compared to more of a club game where it's just kind of like you're playing well to get recruited, and wins and losses are important still, but it's mostly showcasing you as an individual and not exactly your team and just getting wins and losses.
Yeah. The coaches on the other teams, is there any, are they kind of pushing you to, how do they push you to be a better player like that?
So a lot of what they do is just fine-tuning what we do and maybe trying to get us to change something that they saw that they liked. But we do a little bit of film, so all of our games are filmed, so then they can watch them and we have the option to watch them as well, and we can see what we did well or what we could have done better or anything like that, which has been very helpful.
Yeah. Who are some other people that have been able to help you along the way, both as an athlete and a person, throughout your high school career?
Yeah, obviously my parents for always doing the stuff that they do with sports and taking me different places and giving me the opportunities. But all the coaches I've had too, they've been great influences on me so far. And even the coaches I've had for a few years, I try to take something from each and every one of them, which is very nice because I've had a lot of different coaches with different styles and personalities. So a mix of all of them is great.
Yeah. Is there anything about Exeter you're going to particularly miss, whether it's, the school, the area?
Mostly, I think I'm going to miss just kind of the community aspect of it and different sports games, because there's not going to be a lot of other places that you get over 1,000 people to come out to pretty much every football game, or even when basketball went to the state championship last year, it was over an hour away and the student section was still filled. So that's probably the main part I'm going to miss.
Yeah. I know you were talking about kind of the student section stuff with multiple sports. Are you kind of involved with that, kind of showing a lot of Exeter spirit?
I try to. At least I haven't gone to every football game this year, but I've definitely gone to a few. And I think that's just a big part of high school too, is just having fun, being with your friends, and just supporting other athletes, because you know them, they're some of your friends, and you go to school with them too. So that's the neat part about it.
Yeah. What kind of activities have kind of allowed you to do that, with just having fun with friends and stuff, outside of soccer, whether it's a club, out of school activity?
So I'm in a lot of clubs too, and those are very fun because it's pretty much a weekly or a monthly meeting just with your friends, with a certain topic or teacher. So I would highly recommend joining clubs too. It's a great opportunity. And also I've kind of started, since the soccer season ended, even this past week, I've been out just playing some like tennis and pickleball with some of my friends from the soccer team too. So that's been pretty good and a lot of fun, and hopefully we can keep meeting and just playing fun games together the rest of the school year.
Yeah. How does some of those personality traits that you're kind of describing about yourself, having fun, being social, how does that kind of translate into soccer and shaping the player that you are?
Yeah, it definitely helps, because I like to think of myself more as a leader because I'm the goalkeeper. So I kind of tell people where they should be and what they can't see. So definitely building a relationship with all the guys on the team. If I can build that relationship to make it easier to communicate to them, or so I know how to communicate to them, is definitely a good skill to have.
Yeah. Where did that come from, kind of your leadership, and what do you think that's going to be able to do for you in the long-term future?
I was always a quiet person, so it kind of, I think, developed more through sports, and even off the field, I don't talk a lot, I'm not super loud, but just when we get on the field, that's just kind of what I figured that I have to do to win, and so the team can do better, is that I can tell people where to go and what they can do. I just kind of, I don't want to say evolved, but I just kind of learned that that's what you have to do to make people around you better, as well as yourself.
Yeah. So do you think that all kind of creates a better bond between you and your teammates and kind of brings them all together?
I think it definitely does, especially it just needs to be helpful and positive too. There's sometimes we all get angry and you just want to blame other people, but that starts breaking everything back down. So just the hardest part is just keeping it positive at times, but obviously the team's like a family, so you're gonna have some hard times, but a lot of the time it's very helpful and very fun to talk to them.
Yeah. Are you able to kind of expand your bond, kind of be friendly with some of your opponents, and what do you do with them to, develop together?
Yeah, so I've played soccer in Exeter for probably 10 to 12 years now, so you play the same teams like Wilson and Mifflin and all those other county teams over and over again. You start getting to know some people, and I've also, on FC Revolution, I've played with a bunch of other people around the county, so I think all the captains from Wilson I played with, a lot of the kids from Tolpe, even the kids that graduated from Tolpe the past year. and then Fleetwood and some other schools. So it's always nice. As much as we don't like Mifflin and Wilson and all those schools, it's always nice to run into people and just say hi before the game. Not really catch up because there's not a ton of time, but just say how you doing. Good to see you. It's going to be fun to play against you. Stuff like that. It's always a cool moment to have.
Yeah, is observing kind of both the people you're playing against and the people you're playing with, is how does observing them and their play able to help you from time to time?
I think it's very helpful because there's just a lot I don't know or do great. So seeing, for example, like someone doing a certain like pass or turn or whatever very well, if I can learn how to put that into my game, I can just get so much better. And then everyone has different skills, so if you take a little bit from each person, you're going to be a lot more well-rounded, and that helps a lot in the end.
Yeah. Kind of staying down that alley, how has your height been able to I know you're freakishly tall, so how has that been able to help you with athletics over the years?
It's definitely helped a lot. Just kind of having, especially in soccer, with I don't play basketball, but just soccer, goalkeeper at least, being able to have that sort of advantage on like crosses and stuff like that, where I'm taller than most people, it helps a lot, and I'm able to get away with maybe being like half a step behind reading the ball just because I have the height and like to make up for it, which has definitely saved me a few times.
Yeah. How tall are you exactly?
I'm about 6'6".
That's definitely yeah. Yeah. How are you able to prepare yourself for each and every game? And is there like between each game, how is there there's different matchups, different levels of intensity going into each game. How do you prep per each scenario?
Yeah, so the main part about high school soccer especially, it's not always the best soccer, but it's quick and physical and everything like that. And any team could beat any other team, as we've seen multiple times this year and throughout my high school career. So the main part is just treating every game like it's a playoff game and like it's your last game. Just want to leave everything out in the field, and just making sure you don't take anyone lightly, because that's also is a major part in high school sports, and especially high school soccer, is that if you think you're going to beat a team from the start, they've got the edge on you, and that can be the deciding factor in some games.
Yeah. Sometimes if it doesn't end up your way, you guys take the loss. How are you able to keep your chin up and going forward? Is that something you kind of dread and keep down on yourself, or are you able to just naturally keep going?
So the actual schedule in the season helps a lot with that, because we don't really have that much time to kind of hang our heads, because as soon as if we lose a game on Monday, we're back at practice on Tuesday right after school, and we got another important game on Wednesday. So you just have to keep moving forward, just look at what you did well from the game, look at what you could improve on, just reflect, and then you just don't have much time, so you just have to move forward and put it behind you and just focus on the next game.
Yeah. I think that's it for me. If you go with that, is there anything else you want to say?
Not much. Just thank you for having me on. It was an honor to be your first athlete.
Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on. I want to give you a big thanks. Before we end the first episode, I just want to, wish you the best for the rest of your senior year going into your college. Hopefully the recruitment process and everything goes well for you. And yeah, again, appreciate you coming on. Thank you for tuning into the podcast's first episode. Before I conclude today's show, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Exeter's class of 2023 graduate Keith Lurch, who's continuing bowling throughout college. He initially inspired me with a message to start up a podcast, so I'd like to give him thanks for that. This has been months in the making, so I'm glad I can get this out finally to you guys and continue with interviewing athletes. For now, wherever you're listening, it'd be super appreciated to drop a follow or subscription and to check out my other socials at Adam Cooke Journalism on Instagram and Facebook and at AdamCook26 on Twitter. This is Adam signing off. I'll see you on the next episode.